lived here for going on 45 years.
Wow.
Yeah, I have a daughter who's 40, going on 42, and she has 2 kids that are 10 and 9, and my son lives here in Laguna, and she lives in France. She's married to a French guy, and my son lives here, just down the street on the beach. He's a professional surfer, and he has 2 kids too, a girl and a boy. So they come here and they use my garden all the time, and the reason I got the chickens is for them. Because I had chickens while my children were growing up, and I really, really wanted to reproduce that. I wanted them to feel what I grew up with, what my kids grew up with, and you know, so they can observe what goes on in chicken world, chicken land, and which is a lot. They're fascinating and they're fun. They're usually tamer if you raise them from chicks. So if you can do that, it's great. But you have to become a mother hen for a little while. You're kind of limited where you can go, how far you can go, because you have to check on them during the day. Or you can, you know, do it with a friend maybe, and a neighbor, and maybe if they're interested too, you could, you know, nurture them that way. But I have done that. I had them in my daughter's bedroom when she was little with a light on them. And if I did it again, I'd just put it in there because this little building wasn't there at the time. And I'd put a heat light, and just raise them till they're old enough to go in here, which would be, I don't know how old they'd have to be, probably a couple of months. Then you can put them out here and feel safe.
And the reason that to get them from chicks is because
they're better pets. They're who you are. You've raised them, you've nurtured them, and they're not afraid. These are rescued hens from Trader Joe's. They're not from Trader Joe's directly. Trader Joe's does a great job free-ranging their chickens, but when they free-range a huge amount of chickens. You can imagine what they have to free-range. So they have to snip the beaks, and when they snip the beaks back, most of them stay like that, and they can't cannibalize, because what they do, you've heard of pecking order. Okay, well, chickens do pecking order when they're in a large group. So that's why they're in the little cages. People think, you know, many times, it's sad that they're in such small cages, but sometimes chickens can be aggressive. And we don't have roosters. You don't need eggs, by the way, to have roosters. To have... you don't need roosters to have eggs every day. You can have eggs every day without a rooster, and roosters aren't allowed here in Laguna, by the way.
You can't have chickens without roosters.
You can't have baby chicks.
So I'm a question about baby chicks. What if the mom raised the baby chicks? Are they even more, like you have a mom that has some chicks and lays on her eggs? You get a clutch. Is it a clutch? Is that what a clutch of chickens? And then they're raised. Have you ever done that?
No, I haven't. I was it. I was the mom.
So they imprinted on you.
Yeah, right. I was their mom. And they were really nice chicks, you know, and they grew up to be really nice. And I used to sit down in the yard and they'd jump on my lap. These don't do that, but Goldie probably will eventually. The blondest of them. She thinks I'm really her mom. But she's a real sweet, yes.
Do you have to wash them?
Yeah, when they're babies, sometimes you do. Because there are problems with their little behinds. And sometimes you do have to keep it clean and keep it going. Keep it
But
moving.
they use dust and dirt to clean themselves.
Yeah, they do. Anyway, so these chickens were rejects from Trader Joe's because their beaks grew back. And when their beaks grew back, they were no longer useful to them, so somebody bought them, a gal in Norco. And she sells them. She makes a business out of it. So she holds them for 6 months, 5.5 months, and then she sells them and makes for $25 each. So it's a good deal for her. You know, she saves these chickens, and she I don't know what they do with them other than that, but there's a little business in there for her. And she saves these chickens, and I found out about her from a local Laguna resident, actually. And I went up to Norco, and I called her in advance and said I wanted 4 chickens because I have 4 grandkids. And so I went up there and found her, and her whole yard was full of pigs and chickens and stacks of chicks and turkeys. And I drove into the neighborhood and I thought, okay, I got to find this lady. I went, oh my God, you found her. There she is. It was just,
were the turkeys and chickens?
it was like this yard was full of cages, full of things.
So they were in cages.
She had 1,100 animals she had to take care of every day. Because she can't leave her house. She's basically
Can't go on vacation.
running her, no, running around.
Dates are tough.
Yeah, really. She had a big turkey scar or rooster scar across her forehead.
I like that.
I mean, she was different, interesting. But anyway, she was very nice to save these chickens, and I'm glad I found them. These are my girls now, and they're Rose and Peach and Goldie. And Goldie goes to Mission San Juan Capistrano on Living History Day once a month, and I dress as a frontierswoman. And I take the chicken, and I am a frontierswoman that came across from Iowa with my chickens in a covered wagon and established a chicken farm in Sacramento. And when I arrived in Sacramento, my eggs were selling for $2 each. And the reason they were selling for $2 each is because they had no fresh produce, and it was right after the gold rush and everybody was rich. And so I became rich being a chicken rancher. So that's my story. So I carry Goldie around and I take my little pen, it's in there. And my granddaughter joins me on occasion, and because Goldie is hers. And she was the one that named her. She's named after Goldie Hawn because my daughter-in-law was a friend of Goldie Hawn's daughter. They grew up together. Anyway.
Can you bring her out?
Yes, I probably could get Goldie. They went to bed. One is just going up. Watch her. Watch this one. Keep your eye on her.
Going to roost.
Yes, they're roosting. She's getting ready to fly up right now.
Yeah, that caught me. I came up there the other day, and they actually they go up. It's a natural instinct, but at the end of the night, you go
There's
up.
an area over here where I have, we built a box. These chickens, because they had a life before me, did their own thing. So I had to accommodate them. They didn't accommodate me. My other chickens just went up here. And I called the gal that I adopted them from, and I said, how come they're not going on my roost? They want to go over here. And it's because they were used to that in their own house when they first started. So once they established their little routine, that's what they do. And
How about telling us a day in the life of a chicken?
day in the life of a chicken. Okay, in the day in the life of me.
Yeah.
Well, when I get up in the morning, I come out here with my coffee and I give them mash.
And what time is that?
Well, I always have their food in here, and their food and water, which is, their food is over there, and this is their water. And these dispensers, the dispenser will last a good 5 days. And if I'm going away, I put an extra little ceramic thing up there full of water, and I put it up there anyway, whether I'm there or not, so that they're used to it. So I can leave them for a long time, as long as somebody is checking on them. And also that person doesn't feel obliged to come every day. They can come every other day or every 3 days to collect the eggs. And they don't always have to fill the feeders. The feeders will last for 5 to 10 days if you get the bigger feeders. This is Goldie. She wants to come
Feeders for the mesh, you mean?
pardon?
You fill up the mesh 5 or 10 days at a time.
I didn't hear you.
I didn't hear what you were saying.
The
5 or 10
feeder.
days.
The
The
feeder every
feeders
5
stay
to 10
full.
days.
When you put the water in there, you've got a good 5 days of water, which is right here. When you put the feed in there, you've got at least 5 days of food. And you can put an extra water container, which I have right here, that little ceramic thing, so that they can always have extra fresh water if they want it.
Get a picture of it there?
What do you feed them? I'll show you. This is Goldie. And as you can see, she's a great little pet.
Aww.
She's a real sweetheart. She's so intelligent, this one. She knows
She didn't know
what you're
she was gonna be
doing.
a star tonight.
Huh? Oh, she thinks she's a star. Don't worry about it. She's definitely a snot. And But she's really a sweet chicken. She's
Can we pet her?
very gentle. Sure. So they make wonderful pets. And you'd be surprised when I go to the mission how many kids have never touched a chicken.
I
And
never touched her.
you never did? And you're from Provence?
No, actually, I did.
Oh my God, that's scary.
Yeah, I had a
did.
chicken
I
too.
did. But I didn't pet my dad's chicken. I did pet Jody Levine's chicken.
These chickens are actually they're a cross between Rhode Island Red,
What did she say?
She didn't pet her dad's chicken. She pet Jody Levine's chicken. Well, my dad's chicken
Jody
got
Levine.
eaten by
How you doing?
something.
By a fox.
By a fox. So, before we went there.
Hi, how are you?
I grew up in Cannes, in the south of France. We didn't have chicken, but my dad bought a bed and breakfast near Dijon in a little village. And he got chicken, but he never chicken.
Well, I sized chickens. I had to put them away.
How come my camera goes fuzzy when it gets on you?
I treated
I think you're a superhero.
took her to a vet. She took the vet for 6 weeks. She lived another about 8 months.
I have a cousin that lives in Vermont. She lives in
I think she had as long as of life as she wasn't laying. So if you're not laying, things
lives in
change
Vermont.
in
She
the
lives
body.
there
It's
after
the word that's going to be involved.
But she lays now?
Put these together.
No, I lost one.
Oh.
She lives in
Found her dead.
Oh, how great.
So, what about raccoons and stuff?
Well, that's very protective.
So let's just finish the day. Can we?
They can't get in there.
But did
But rats
did they
do
hang
come.
out?
And you may notice, by the way, rats here and there tonight. I don't know how long you're going to stay, but sometimes they come out. But they might not come tonight because of the people in the yard and the sound and everything. And anyway,
Will they eat the chicken?
no. I'm going to put her back so she can rest. And I'll show you what I feed her. Okay.
And you said, remember when we talked, you said that you would ideally like to have 2 chickens.
I think a good number
But
is
the problem is that then one dies, and you got 1, so it's better to have
If you have
3.
3, you have an extra 1, because you could lose 1. But to tell you the truth, I had 4, and that was too much. Because you have to manage them. And here in the yard, you look around. I don't have any low flowers. I've planted. I've let things grow naturally. I've also had to protect so they don't dig because they make a big mess. So you do have to pick up after them all the time. Here, fortunately, I used to have grass. I took the grass out. I like it better this way. I don't have to water it. And it's useful like a patio. And also, it's decomposed granite and it acts as a dehydrator for the chicken poop. So the kids can still come and play in the yard and I can just pick up the poop and they're not walking in where you can't see it, and you step on it. So it's one way of managing the yard where they come out in the afternoon about 4 o'clock. I make sure the patio gate is closed and they wander the whole backyard. So they go and dig. I get the hoe out and I dig up a little area over there where they get worms, and then they wander around and just eat bugs. And they one of the advantages, it says why raise chickens. And by the way, this is your answer about chickens. If you're interested, go to this website, backyardchickens.com. And they say why raise chickens? Well, they're easy to maintain for the most part, 2 or 3. And ask me what the problems are, and I'll be happy to tell you. There are eggs that are fresh and nutritious, and many times I hadn't been to the store. I always had eggs, and they're great. And there's something very special about going out, getting them, and making them for lunch, or breakfast. It's a treat. That never changes. You always feel that way.
The chickens ever get mad that you take them?
Only when the dog takes it. The dog will go. I have a little miniature dachshund. When the door is open,